Welcome everyone to the next lesson in Learn Online Tutoring. Today I want to show to you a very important concept which is called as the golden triangle of learning. So without further delay, let's get to the lesson. The golden triangle, like you can see on your screen, is a three-sided triangle which consists of three legs: learn, do and teach. When you learn the subject, you are going to be the authority in the field because you are learning the subject, going through each of those nuances, each of those concepts in detail. This will give you a very fundamental understanding of the subject before you can explain it to someone. More specifically, before you make the product presentation, you are going to learn about the product that you are presenting by yourself. That is where the link between learning and marketing comes in. If you don't know about the product that you are going to sell, how will you promote it? So, learn is a very important component, and which is the first side of the triangle that I want to impress upon at this instance. Now, let's go to the second side of the triangle, which is known as the second side of the triangle, which is more familiarly known as do. Let's do what we have learned. So, when I want to do, which means practical implementation of the learning that I have done, I'll just show you an example of practical implementation. So, give me a moment while I just switch the windows. So one of the practical implementations that I often do, my niche, again I'm repeating it out for first time viewers, my niche is Learn Online Tutoring. With Learn Online Tutoring, my niche is always to make efficient and effective online tutors who can deliver good content. Now the content that you deliver must be proportional to the value that you provide to the student. Otherwise, the student will not be interested in having further classes with you or even extending the duration of the classes with you. They might pursue the class up to the end of the package, and later they may even change the tutoring company. So now what I'm going to give you the framework so that you can keep the student hooked onto you. You can continue to provide value and increase the learning curve of the student to a higher level than before, because that makes you an effective tutor when the student learns the subject efficiently. Of course, now let's look at a week of lessons which I had with the student. Now the topic that we are going to be learning today is chemistry. I apologize for the chemistry people, but I just went over all the whiteboards that I have, and I just found out that here for this student above you can see those 5 whiteboards. We have had pretty much consistent learning for that entire week, so that's why I'm gonna choose those whiteboards here. Now from those 5 whiteboards, the first one, of course, sorry, that was the most latest one. The first whiteboard, we kicked off the week on Monday by first learning how to balance chemical equations, atomic mass, molecular mass, and also delved deep into what the mole concept is. So this is the fundamental presentation of the product that you are making here. Now just converting it into a general example, because from my previous video I got some feedback that my niche was too specific, I am not a teacher and all that. But well, we'll get into more of the details about where the teaching and marketing are linked. We will get into that in future videos. But right now the context of this video is to impress upon you what the golden triangle is all about. So that's why I'm going to stick to these 5 whiteboards to show on you why it's very important in your presentation to have your learn, do and teach model, because then you will not only have an efficient product presentation, you will have an effective demonstration of the product, and 3, the customer will be interested to purchase the product and apply the same lessons for themselves. That is the victory of an effective marketer. Of course, my marketing here, I wanted to ensure that the student learned all those concepts. Now you can see that the first whiteboard is for balanced chemical equations. That consists a lot of the basic concepts. Let's just run through the whiteboard, shall we? So let's run through this whiteboard a bit. And as the whiteboard has loaded, is it visible for you guys? I guess not. Hold on, let me just swap the whiteboard. Yes, here it is. So the whiteboard over here, balanced chemical equations, yep, it's visible now. Alright, so the balanced chemical equation whiteboard here dealt only with the fundamentals. Only the fundamentals were dealt with. We were talking about those 5 topics in general. The 5 topics, namely how to write down the correct chemical formula, equations of chemical reactions, masses of atoms, molecules and ions, and some calculations about their mass percentages and all that. This whiteboard was the core fundamental background of this chapter 5, reacting mass and chemical equations. We ran in through the several concepts. First example, you can see that I've did all the working there. Second example, you can see that the student was now doing the work now. So here was me doing the learn, do, and the teach model. Teach model is when the student now gets classwork to do, and the student has to immediately do the work. You know, all the time we are in conversation. So here is an effective presentation, and you can see that as the student has done the classwork, only the last question was where she made that small mistake, and I corrected her accordingly. And what about the majority of the questions? All of those questions she got right. So what does that tell you about it? The golden triangle works. The golden triangle works so well, in fact. A student which came to the class afraid of chemistry started loving the subject, and the student wanted more classes with me. And of course we were the weekly frequency and all that, but now you can see that the student is now working on molecular formula problems, and the student did a very good job of doing all the calculations correctly as well. I even gave her some classwork problems, and again few problems and all from the okay, hold on a second. The first problem I did it by myself. Second problem, then what I did was, she had several doubts coming up there when we were doing the molecular formula problem. So I decided, because then I noticed that there were ruffling of pages in the background, so I heard that. I realized not only is she looking at the text at the same time that she's on the whiteboard with me. That's something which we had to be very careful of. So since I was teaching her the subject, I decided to, okay, let's take the elephant out of the room. Yes, the elephant out of the room. Remember that lesson in the class? So I addressed the elephant in the room, which was the textbook. And I put the textbook out, and I put that example on the whiteboard here. And why I put this example out was here, in this example, the example used here is copper. That's a big problem in chemistry, because I'm sure any student of science will agree that copper is a transition metal. It can show variable valencies. That aspect has not yet been covered in the student's textbook, so that's why she was finding it uncomfortable. So I just went in, gave her a background that when the Roman numeral is written in bracket, it means that is the valency of the transition metal. And then we moved on with the subject. After having done the example, then we went straight into some of the laws of chemical combination, and there you go. This is the final application of the teach model for the day. The 1 hour time was complete, so I now gave her homework to do, and we concluded the class for the day. This pattern now has repeated a lot in even subsequent whiteboards as well. I'll just show you another whiteboard. I think the best one would be, of course, now the best example at this point would be to show the next whiteboard, because then it's a continuous process and you will also agree with the same structure. So here's the next whiteboard coming up. Let's now look at percentage purity and mole concept. So percentage purity has loaded. One second, guys. Percentage purity has not loaded, it seems. Yeah, I think too many whiteboards are open. Let me just close the old one. Aha. Yeah, now it's come up. Okay, cool. So here's percentage purity here. So here we were discussing the homework from yesterday. Of course, what's the point if you don't discuss the homework from the previous class? It won't be a repetition of the learning, right? So here I had the opportunity to discuss the homework. Then I threw in some random questions. Again, I'm doing the teach model here now, because I'm now making her retrieve her learning from the previous day and apply it in the class. This is the ultimate victory of the learn, do and teach model. And then finally I just wrapped up this lesson because I now showed her the formula exactly from the textbook. Those are all screen grabs taken from the textbook itself. And once the student saw those formula, she got convinced, totally sold. And then we quickly, this is an end of chapter problem. So the end of chapter means it's a collation of all the concepts from the initial lessons as well. And top marks, all those answers she did on paper. The student did those on paper and then repeated the answers back to me. All those answers were correct. A fantastic class it was. Really felt this is the pinnacle of where the golden triangle actually works. Golden triangle applied to students. The golden triangle can be applied to marketing as well. And when you do that, you become an efficient marketer. You become a great salesman. And there you go. That is the victory of digital marketing. Hope you like this video. Put in your comments below. I would love to read your valuable comments. And thank you for staying until the end of this video. Now let me get to my internship assignment and finish it before the submission date. Take care, everyone. God bless. Bye-bye.